much we are going to spend on labor and other things, because they all cost, the seeds cost, the seedlings cost, the manure cost, the labor for those who may not have the time.
Very simple step, get your right seeds. Then control your moisture, because know that
any preventive measures.
When you uproot crops from the ground like this, you can replant again. But this bad issue now.
Becoming farmers. It's catching, it's going, it's spreading like wildfire, and I'm happy that the staff of the Office of the Head of Service, they are in the forefront. We will not carry last, and will not be left behind. We will be in front. So it is a welcome development. We are going to keep record, video record of all that will take place today and put it on YouTube, so that others who may be skeptical, others who are yet to catch the vision, and others who have been yearning for an opportunity but do not have, can watch it and use those the lessons and the demonstrations to start their own homestead garden. And I'm sure that as we continue to increase in number, almost getting to over 50% of civil servants who are farmers, we will keep hunger out of Delta State. On that note, I declare the training open. Thank you very much.
My name is Mr. Efi Uriri. I work with the Delta State Ministry of Agriculture and Natural Resources. I am a research officer in the Ministry of Agriculture. So what you see is what we do in the research station. We try on a daily basis to improve different types of crops in our system or in our ecosystem. So normally before we start any technical section, we have to energize everybody so that we'll be at the same space. On that note, can we please be upstanding, with the exception of the HOS, PS, and Directorates. Now, watch me. We're going to clap our hands. We're going to clap our hands before we start. Just watch the way I do it. When I say Atama, you clap one. Atama! 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 Now, we're going to do the second part, which is Labako. This time around, we clap 2-3 times, then we stop. So I'm going to start by saying Atama, Labako. Just watch me. Atama! 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 Labako! 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 Now we're going to income generation. 2. Income generation. Today, in all sincerity, you find out that people are sick. People are sick. We over-labor the health sector. It's because we don't produce healthy food. Many of us consume food that are not healthy. So the essence, another reason for homestead gardening is to produce healthy food. To produce what? Healthy food. And finally, some people also want to be close to nature. Some people also want to be close to nature. So it is a garden because we, family labor is what we use in such production system. family labor is what you use in the production system. That is why it is called a garden. Another reason it is called a garden, everything you generate is not purposely for income generation, it's for home consumption. Is it clear?
Yes.
For home consumption. Madam, can you please read what we have on the board?
Okay. The first one is an attempt at defining homestead gardening. We say it's a small-scale farm within your premises. Secondly, we went to the justification. We have 4 justifications here, starting from the first one is for fresh food. The second one is for income generation. The third one is to produce healthy food. And we have the fourth one as to satisfy the desire to be close to nature.
Then after about 3 weeks, you can transplant them straight to the soil. You can transplant them straight to the soil. This is the tomatoes. So this is the onion seed. The onion they say is chemical water. You can use manure water, it will still be well. Or you can use ordinary water, it will still produce roots. So when it produces, this is a special yellow pepper. I testify to this. This one is very big, those big one. And the skin of this one.
I want to beg all of us here, this is not a typical seminar that you go, you get handouts, and nothing to show for it. And I'm very happy that Mabese has done a wonderful job starting all of us. Only 85 grams. 85 grams. So now you have 30 of this coming out of one tomato stand in 120 days. 30 times 80. That's 2,400 grams. That's 2.4 kilos. That's 2.4 kilos. You are going to get from one stand of tomatoes. All things being equal. It will still produce you this, but I reduced it to this lower average. So in one stand of tomatoes, you'll be having nothing less than 2.4 kilos. So if you have 1,000 stands of tomatoes, 1,000 stands of tomatoes, you are talking about 2,000. You're talking about 24 tons. That's 24,000 kilos. Go to the market now. I sell tomatoes in weight.
When this my resource was talking initially, he said planting on bags. And I used to know that those days we do plant on the ground. So the question there now is, when you uproot crops from the ground like this, you can replant, okay? But this bad issue now, when you harvest the crops that you planted, can you use the same soil to replant? That is one of the questions. And another question again is that we used to believe that for your crops to grow very well, that manure, when you talk of manure, what we need to the manure is using those things where tell those that it helps crops to grow very well. I don't know whether you are disputing that fact that we have to use other materials as manure. I don't know whether you get my point there. So, okay, let me give room for others. Let's answer some of them. Okay, the third one said, the soil you said is not an ordinary soil. You mentioned something like that some soils that you showed us, they are not an ordinary soil. So what makes the mixture of soil that makes one ordinary? Why is it not ordinary?
First question is on manure. Okay, bags. Okay, you said your question is, can we still use the same soil again? And then, if you look at the bags that I brought, those bags are old. What does that signify? It means that I've used it over and over. Those same soil, that same soil you will see me plant at Banero. Believe you me, that soil was used for tomatoes last year. So So after harvesting the tomatoes, I use the same soil again for the habanero pepper. And you can see the habanero pepper is doing very well. Because of the truth, I know where you're heading to. Climate change has made soil not so rich anymore. Well, thank God, because we have the poultry waste. We apply the poultry waste and the soil becomes rich again. So you can use that same soil over and over and over again, provided you keep giving the soil and the plant what they want. Then your question number 2.
Okay. The reason why in this cycle you put tomatoes, after harvesting you bring in pepper, after harvesting you bring in another crop, cucumber, is we want to break a cycle of any disease, if any. So the essence of changing your crop, changing from one time to the other, is to break disease cycle. The second issue is some of this crop you see, when you look at tomatoes critically, expose it, you see nodes on the root, which means it helps in fixing nitrogen, making the soil to be rich. Everything you get from that waste you get from the house, you fix it from this nitrogen, these nodes you find in the nitrogen. It therefore means when you are planting, you must rotate your crop. The essence of crop rotation is to harness your nitrogen and to break the disease cycle. Thank you.
My question goes to Mr. Onya. You were giving us the cost of sales of many of the harvested products, the estimated harvested products. Oh, this one is going to give us 2,005 stands, 2,500. By the time you multiply it by 2,000, it gives you 5 million and 10 million and so on. So I think the battery has gone up. So you were giving us the sales, but you didn't give us the cost of the production. How much? Because that was what I thought we were going to be seeing on the whiteboard. Is how much am I going to put in, and how much am I going to get out, and how much is my profit? We had 4 million, we had 10 million, but that was the sales. But we didn't hear what was the cost. Because from this training, we are going to develop some flyers to sensitize more civil servants. This is just a pilot for the civil servants in the Office of the Head of Service. We want to be able to engage and expand and also make a case to the governor. By the time we do about 3 or 4 pilots and governor sees our report, he will think it's a good idea to invest in the civil servants. So to get them to really commit, they need to know how much they are putting in. And before Mrs. Osadebe came, I mentioned that this issue of civil servants farming is becoming catchy. That on the news yesterday, I heard that GMDBS has also done a training for our own workers. So everybody, they are not even waiting for HOS. They are moving in their own, at their own speed, and it's exciting. So what we need, that information is so vital for us to, we are looking at a target of 50% of our civil servants are into agriculture. And if they don't have the amount of input, they will not be able to know. And it will not encourage a lot, because when they hear, this 4 million, do you know how much they're suffering? Do you know, and so on and all that. So that is one. We need to know how much we are going to spend on labor and other things, because they all cost, the seeds cost, the seedlings cost, the manure cost, the labor for those who may not have the time to go and do the weeding and everything, the tilling. We need add that costing. So I don't know how that we can get that. If it's something that cannot be done, if you have anyone you've done before, and you can work it out. If you send it to us, we're going to develop them in like flyers. I have a sample which I will send to you. Then the second question is the manure issue. Must we use cow dung and poultry droppings? Apart from that, is there no other form of manure like composting? Because when he said, Mr. Amia, this one too is also for you, because you are the one that said we should use cow dung, and then some people use sawdust so that it will not smell. I don't like the smell of cow dung around me. And then he said, oh, because of the sawdust, we should not do well the wood shavings and things like that. What alternative do I have? Composting. I've seen it on YouTube, I've heard it in webinars. Can that be an alternative, or is it compulsory that we have to use some form of dung? Thank you.
Sorry, the economics of production for vegetables that we saw today. Let me go to vegetables. And as civil servants, the way I want to take it is just a small land space. It's not that commercial, that one for commercial production. By the time I finish, you will know where I'm going to. Let's take this food for example. If we are going to plant pepper, in fact, if we are going to plant everything displayed here today, pepper, tomato, cucumber, that's different types of pepper, habanero, chili, the hot pepper, the hot spice, the other hot spicy pepper, then what's that red pepper, not red pepper, no, the sugar pepper, the small, that's chili, tatashi chili, the small one. But you all know the common pepper, like the fresh pepper, I remember the name. So if we are going to plant it here, in this room, we will need about 5 rows of 10 stands each for good spacing. If we are having a land space this room now, from this place to this place, from here to here, we take 10 rows of pepper for good spacing. I mean 10 stands of pepper. And if you look at it now, if you plant here, the next place you are going to plant is here. The next place you are going to plant is there. So we have only 5 rows, giving the fire tracing. That means we are going to have 50 stands of pepper. For 50 stands of pepper, we are going to buy one seedling for how much? 420 naira, right? How much do you sell? Any pepper. Let's take one.
Okay, habanero is 500.
Thank you. The cheaper one, 120. Let's take 120. Wait now. We take 120. 120 by 50. 6,000. We are going to use our labor, or we are going to use family members. So labor is out. We are going to do some dashing to our children or the security man that helps us, 5,000 naira for those 3 months, because it's not every day the person is going to work. That is another 5,000 naira. We are going to buy just 1 kg of fertilizer, or we are going to use our household compost. Let's leave this cow dung out of it. We are going to use our household compost or manure, that's from the poultry farm, which is not too bad, and which we preach. That one will not be more than 5,000 naira, 1 kg. That is now 15,000 naira. Then if we are going to do some kind of chaining for the tomato or the cucumber, we are going to have stands. We are going to throw rows. We like that twine, 250 from the market. That's 15,250. Let's say 16,000. For this one, so that's the cheapest pepper. Tomato, okra, let me take it like that. Even ugu, if we are going to, because ugu season are not expensive as you get 4 for 100 naira, and you plant. Okra very cheap. Okra seed is even as good as free. They ask you to come and take okra. I have some seed in my house, so it's as good as free. So that is that one. So we have 16,000 naira now. Then plus or minus, we may need to spray chemicals. When it starts flowering, to remove the hazardous pests and encourage the butterflies and all those ones that will encourage pollination for them to do well. So the chemicals we need to spray, we cannot finish that one bottle in 1 second. So if you buy that one bottle for 5,000, that's about 21,000 naira. So for this vegetable, economies of production by plus or minus is not more than 30,000 naira. You now multiply one stand at harvest One stand I use a total of 5,000 naira times 50 stands will be how much? Yes, 5 times 5, 25, 250,000 naira. To be modest. That's what we are getting at home. We are not going to now say you are going to get that 250,000 because it's a homestead farm. You are going to harvest. People are coming to visit. You will give. A neighbor will say, please, I want to buy you 2,000, 1,000. Thank you. So that is just the basics of the economics of production as per production. For vegetable, the cheapest to produce between 20 and 30,000 naira for production because there is no cost for labor.
Okay.
Even fertilizer board. Then we come to cow dung. Cow dung is very rich. But because of the smell and all the zoonotic hazards associated with it, we preach that if you are to use cow dung, you quarantine it first. How do you quarantine? Just pack them to one side. Activities will start taking place. Bacteria, the fighter, whatever maggots will grow, they will do, flies will come out. They've eaten some of those hazardous things because that's what is keeping us alive. All those bacteria and fungi and disease-causing organisms that we don't see, they must have taken place. That's why when you break out, you don't use it immediately. Leave it for like 2 weeks in where you are quarantining it, like a pit. And when you are now going to use, you will take the method of dissolving it, diluting it. That is beautiful, good to use, and those are the organic ones we preach. For the poultry dung, when you get them, you can use the dry or the hard one, no problem. So that answers those 2 questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Concepts come into play, control and preventive, and it's more safer to adopt preventive measure because control it is where it has happened. But in the course of your presentation, you have not mentioned any preventive measures.
Well, very simple. A very simple step. Get your right seeds. Then control your moisture. Because you know that with that moisture level, fungi, bacteria, my head of service knows now, you must have a good base to multiply. So if you know overwater, you are limiting. Application of the right nutrients that they have asked you to apply. Application of the right fertilizer at the right time. There is a way you may apply your fertilizer. You are not only fertilizing the soil, but you are giving room for more microorganisms to breed. And they are going, to spread to your plants. So it's just basically taking care of it. So you find that if you take care of these ones like this infestation will not be much for your crops. It's not like it will not come low, but it will not be much and it will not overwhelm you. Let us think back to the villages, to our homes. How many times were they applying these things in the past? Because our parents had the right spacing. Spacing very important. They had the right spacing, like they said, disease will not move from here to the other. Then the right fire tracing, they had it. Disease will not move from your farm to my farm if I have the right fire tracing. And you can also have that fire tracing in your house. When you are planting, there should be space between your last crop and your fence. A lot of space. That should be there. There one very important thing to note about tomato, very sensitive. I am not saying it with confirmation, but I am saying it with experience. If you have mango trees around you, you plant tomato, you are going to be having problems. Milling bugs will always infest them. Will always. So if you are having mangoes around you and you want to plant fruity vegetables, and then limit on your tomatoes. You can choose pepper, you can choose okra, any fruity vegetable. The tomatoes, but when milling bugs start attacking them, they don't have that resistance that the pepper and the okra or the ugu has. It must attack them. Yes, all of us like tomatoes. then we want our efforts to go to waste. Because mealybugs to thrive in humid, conditions where there is, especially during the rainy season, you find that maybe you water your crop in the morning, by the rain falls, what do? There is nothing. Tomato cannot resist it. But other fruity vegetables and these vegetables can resist it. So the preventive measure is just that your crop management, which we are not going to learn here in a day. You learn your farm management, how to monitor your crops and check them. Then one very important thing to note, if you notice that one leaf on your crop is like having some kind of shape, please pluck it off immediately. That's a sign that something is going to happen and that the surrounding is being infested. So we now apply insecticides at a limited level. So that's what I want to add to these preventive measures, instead of waiting to control them when the disease must have infested and overtaken our farms. Thank you very much.
The head of service, family secretary, senior president, permit me to stand on this protocol. First of all, I want to thank our amiable head of service for this great initiative in trying to reposition the civil service. This is part of the ideas you have. Madam, we thank you so much. This is just a small part of it. We are expecting more. I must tell you that we have never seen this kind of pragmatic, progressive drive since I joined the service. Madam, keep it up.
Thank you.
Do not be tired. Continue with your good works. We appreciate you so much. For the family secretaries here, I say thank you for being here despite your tight schedule. I want to encourage you to pass the message around your colleagues that she continue to support our dear head of service. Because if you do not give her that support, she will not succeed. So I plead with you to pass the message to your colleagues. And for the facilitators, I say a big thank you for coming here to pass what you have, the knowledge you have gained to us. Is something we appreciate. We thank you, especially our Honorable Major Mukwe. He's a good friend of the system. Please, the facilitators, do not be tired anytime the head of service call on you, because she has a lot. Not only on agriculture, she has a lot in other areas that will benefit the system. So thank you so much. For the participants, who are also my colleagues, I thank you for being part of this first phase of the program. Like what the head of service said, we have other phases. This is just a pilot scheme. I'm happy that some of you are here to gain from the first phase. I want to plead with you, do not live here and throw away these lofty ideas you have gathered from this program. It will be very disastrous. What the head of service is doing here is to help us. We know the salary is not enough for us to carry on. That is why she's initiating this program to supplement what the government is paying us. And you know, without food, we cannot survive. So we need food. It may not be for commercial purposes, but for subsistence farming, which is for your household, for your immediate family. Like me, I'm into subsistence farming. So I'm into subsistence farming. So I'm encouraging all of you, please, go home, implement it. Initially, it will not be smooth, but gradually, you embrace it and you enjoy it. So I beg you, you can see how the economy is. So when you do that, you won't be grumbling. So for the media men, I say thank you. Please keep this program the widest publicity. On this note, I say thank you and God bless.